Hello and welcome to India First. I am Pooja, Shali. There is temporary relief for Nupur Sharma, but the reality on ground is rape and death threats against her, and to anyone supporting her, they are also being subjected to violence even today. I have the latest on that. First, the headlines. Let's begin. Supreme Court relief to suspended Bharatiya Janata Party Neta Nupur Sharma for her remarks on the Prophet, granted interim protection from arrest till 10th of August in the 9 FIRs lodged against her. Shocker from Haryana, an honest cop mowed down by the mining mafia in Nu. One accused has been shot in an encounter with the police. Chief Minister Khattar assures DSP Surinder Singh's killers will not be spared. An ugly caste war over the Agnipath scheme, opposition claiming it is a bid to create Jati Veers. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh counters misinformation, says no change in the recruitment process. A former Mumbai top cop has been taken into arrest in the National Stock Exchange scam by the Enforcement Directorate. Sanjay Pandey charged with money laundering. National Commission of Women taking note of the Kerala examination horror. Female NEAT aspirants say they were asked to remove their innerwear at the examination centre to enter. National Testing Agency forms a fact-finding committee. Salem Superintendent of Police and Collector have been transferred after violent protests rocked Tamil Nadu over a Class 12 student's suicide. SIT to probe what triggered the rioting. A new threat now to Nupur Sharma emerging when the National Investigation Agency revealed that those caught in Patna terror module a few days ago on 14th of July had personal details, address of the suspended BJP spokesperson in their mobile phone. Another man who had infiltrated into India was apparently indulging in a plot to kill Nupur Sharma but got apprehended in Rajasthan. Here's a report of how the real factor of threats and violence against Nupur Sharma is still ensuing. Take a look at this report.
Another shocking twist to the Nupur Sharma saga. The now suspended BJP spokesperson was on the target of a radical Islamist outfit, the Popular Front of India. NIA found Nupur Sharma's Delhi address on the mobile phone of Athar Parvez, who was arrested in the Patna terror module case.
अथर के साथ हम लोगों ने 48 आवर पुलिस रिमांड पर उसने पहले जो बातें बताई थी और उसके घर से जो एविडेंसेस मिले थे, मटेरियल एविडेंस थे हमारे पास, टेक्निकल एविडेंस थे, उसके मोबाइल में थे और उसके फेसबुक लिंक्स पे, ऑडियो में, वीडियो फाइल्स में, उसके अगेंस्ट में या उसके ग्रुप के अगेंस्ट में या उसके एक्टिविटीज़ के अगेंस्ट में जो FIR दर्ज था वो और पुख्ता हुआ है.
The Patna terror module was busted by Bihar police on 14th of July. It was reportedly planning to target Prime Minister Modi when he visited Patna on 12th of July. Cops had raided the PFI's Fulwari Sharif office and arrested 2 men. Documents were seized during the raid, which talked of establishing an Islamic rule in India by 2047. Nupur Sharma has claimed to have received numerous death threats ever since she made comments against Prophet Muhammad. It also now emerges that Nupur was also on the target of elements across the border. A Pakistani has been caught by the BSF in Rajasthan's Sri Ganganagar, and he apparently crossed the border with the aim of killing Nupur Sharma.
इस व्यक्ति का नाम रिजवान अशरफ, सन ऑफ मोहम्मद अशरफ, उम्र 24 साल, निवासी कुठियाल शेखा, पाकिस्तान का है. इसके पोजेशन में एक बैग मिला है जिसमें कुछ कपड़े, कुछ धार्मिक किताबें. इसने प्रारंभिक पूछताछ में ये बताया है कि ये यहाँ पर जो नुपुर शर्मा ने आपत्तिजनक बयान दिया था उसके विरोध में उसके खिलाफ कार्रवाई करने के लिए यहाँ पर ये आना चाहता था.
The fresh terror threats have come after open death threats were given to Nupur by clerics and a series of attacks on those who had come out in her support. Even the Supreme Court on Tuesday took note of the threats to her life by saying that there was a need to protect her life and liberty. Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining me in this live telecast is my colleague Rohit Singh, live from Darbhanga. Rohit, let's go one by one. Question number one, about this address and personal details being found in the mobile phone of the arrested accused. What is the police and the NIA implying at this moment? Because remember, this is while violence and threats are still very real against Nupur Sharma.
Well, absolutely, you're right, Pooja. The threat are real to Nupur Sharma, the kind of details that have emerged today after after the interrogation of Athar Parvez, one of the accused in the Patna terror module case and a prime PFI agent. In his mobile phone, the police has recovered a mobile number of Nupur Sharma and also address of her Delhi residence, and this clearly has sent the security agencies and the police into a tizzy, because Nupur Sharma's address and mobile number in the mobile phone of Athar Parvez only indicates that the Popular Front of India could be targeting Nupur Sharma, or they could be hatching some sort of a conspiracy against her, because till now the police was of the view that only Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Patna was on the target. But after this fresh revelation coming during investigation, obviously it appears that there is real threat to the life of Nupur Sharma.
Also, so the second question then, Rohit, is why I say that violence or threats against Nupur Sharma is still very real around her, because just about a few hours ago, a young man in Bihar was stabbed multiple times because it appeared allegedly that he was watching a video about Nupur Sharma.
Well, you see, ever since Nupur Sharma has made that controversial remarks, there has been a lot of violent incidents that have been witnessed across many parts of the country, and this is the second such incident in Bihar. First one was in Ara, which happened a few weeks back, of some sort of a communal clash, and that happened.
Yes.
However, the police just acted on time and nothing untoward happened. And this is the second incident where this guy, whose name is Ankit, 18 years old, he was stabbed 6 times because he was simply watching videos of Nupur Sharma, and when other 4 or 5 youths from the other community asked him not to do so, he said he opposed it, and that is why he was stabbed 6 times in his body, and he's undergoing treatment at a hospital. So this clearly goes on to show that there is not only there is the threat to the life of Nupur Sharma, but because of Nupur Sharma's controversial comments, her supporters also who are watching her video supporting her, and their life are also endangered.
Rohit, keep tracking all the latest on that. So it's not just about the now suspended spokesperson, but anyone supporting her also seem to be subjected to violence or at least threats. Is this just about the PFI and Patna terror module? Are we looking at a bigger conspiracy here? I'm joined on India First tonight by SP Ved, former Director General of Police from Jammu and Kashmir. Sir, do you see that there could be a larger conspiracy here, or do you just see that this is local angry goons at some level, frustrated individuals who are resorting to violence and threats over this incident?
No, this is a larger conspiracy. In fact, radical organizations like PFI are stoking such a thing, and your deep state, your friend across the border, is also cashing on in this controversy, taking advantage of the fissures in the society, heightened tensions between the two communities. If you recall, Kanhaiya Lal's murderers also had a link from across. They had visited, in fact, joined Dawat-e-Islami and visited Pakistan and Middle East. They were trained, and they got instructions from across to butcher this Kanhaiya Lal. So similarly, organizations like PFI are also stoking this violence. They had a hand in inciting communal violence in different parts of the country. There were, if you recall, there were attacks during Ram Navami and Hanuman Jayanti
processions, yes.
In about 7-8 states, and In most of the places, the involvement of PFI was there. In coming particularly to Nupur Sharma case, now the recovery of her address, her details of her family, relatives, and phone number definitely gives indication of a conspiracy to harm Nupur Sharma or some sort of plan to harm her. It's not only the threat to the Prime Minister. I think organization like PFI should be banned, and the Indian state needs to come down very heavily.
And there is a chorus growing on demanding a ban for the Popular Front of India. How much of it, sir, do you see this, given your experience in Jammu and Kashmir, specifically the Kashmir Valley, with regard to how Pakistan could actually interfere? Because many would say that this appears to be local issues. This appears to be internal issues. How can Pakistan deep state create fissures? But we have all seen what Kashmir has become in the past few years, given Pakistan's interference. Do you see any pattern here? And that is why what is leading to your comment that Pakistan's deep state could actually interfere here as well?
Yeah, it might have heard the sentiments of some of the radical people in Islamic community in India. By and large, people belonging to Muslim community did feel bad about these comments, but the agencies like ISI and deep state in Pakistan take advantage of these situations.
Yes.
And if you recall, we had many incidents, not only in Jammu Kashmir, even other parts of the country, like Mumbai attack, Akshardham attack, the attack on Ayodhya, serial blast in Mumbai and Delhi, many other incidents. The attack on Amarnath Yatra, attack on Raghunath Mandir, all these were basically aimed to create communal tension between two communities. And a controversy like Nupur Sharma is an ideal situation for agencies like ISI to fish in troubled water and create some sort of communal situation in the country, so that India's march towards becoming a global economic power is delayed or stalled, because they want your resources to be diverted on internal security. And in this, I suspect even PLA of China has the blessings on the ISI.
And as recent as Rajouri, we remember where in the village somewhere the locals had caught terrorists who had the backing of Pakistan but were trying to mingle within the political outfits. Dr. S.P. Vaid, thank you so much for your perspective and helping us understand how this could actually be a larger conspiracy to disturb communal harmony in the country. Here, thank you so much for joining us on India First. Now, suspended BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma cannot be arrested in the 9 cases against her over her comments on the Prophet. The Supreme Court today provided interim relief to Nupur Sharma, also importantly acknowledging the extent of rape and death threats that she has been getting ever since that comment was made. But the most important comment coming in as an observation from the court is that her life and liberty must be protected. Take a look at the special report about how Nupur Sharma decided to approach the court and has got some relief.
The Supreme Court grants relief to the suspended BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma. Nupur Sharma had moved the top court citing death and rape threats. The 2-judge bench hearing the matter granted interim protection against arrest to Nupur Sharma till August 10th. The court further said that there is an immediate need to protect her life and liberty. The court had issued notices to the centre and the states in the case.
All I can say is that the order is completely in conformity with law. It makes sense. You can't have one person, facing multiple investigations on one single broadcast. I mean, just because it was broadcast all over the country, you don't face 1,000 investigations for it wherever it has been broadcast. So it's been an act of and it's an interim order for the time being. The FIRs will be consolidated. The Supreme Court will have to decide which police station where the FIR is lodged will be the one police station. They've done that in the past in a TV anchor's case. So there's a precedent for that. That you club all the FIRs together and decide one police station which will continue to investigate the case.
Nupur Sharma has been in the eye of storm ever since her controversial comments on Prophet Muhammad during a television debate. 9 FIRs have been registered against her across the country, 1 in Delhi, 5 in Maharashtra, 2 in West Bengal and 1 in Telangana. Nupur had earlier moved the Supreme Court to club all the FIRs together but withdrew the petition after the bench came down heavily on her, calling her single-handedly responsible for the protests and beheading of Kanhaiya Lal in Udaipur. Bureau Report, India Today.
So remember, there is a temporary relief that has come from the court. But what about the FIRs that have been filed against her? I'm going to take you through about in total all these first information report one by one that was filed against Nupur Sharma across the country. I want you to take a look about what does that mean. Remember, there is violence that's been reported, but about the FIRs first, let's begin. People who are offended by her comment. Delhi was one of the first cities to actually have that one FIR filed against her, but it then just spiraled out of control against her. Mumbai in Maharashtra was another when the FIR was filed, but it was not just one FIR against her. Take a look at this. In Pune, in Maharashtra, there were 3 FIRs that were filed against Nupur Sharma. What does that mean? After that, Pune in other states as well, in Parbhani, there was again 1 FIR filed. Remember, for every FIR, you may get a summon and you have to be present in the local court. 9 FIRs in total against Nupur Sharma. Let's move on to Kolkata. 2 FIRs filed in West Bengal for hurting religious sentiments, for causing communal disharmony or creating trouble in the society were some of the sections as well. In Hyderabad, in Telangana, 2 FIRs were filed against her. This was the request that she had put to the top court. 9 FIRs filed against the now suspended spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's not just about police complaints and FIRs. There was real violence happening all around her when she had to go incommunicado. We all remember Udaipur, Rajasthan, where tailor shopkeeper Kanhaiya Lal was killed, beheaded by 2 men who had come posing as customers. What happened after that brutal killing? In Ajmer, remember, one of the khadims, Salman Chishti, brings out a video offering bounty of his house and crores of rupees if someone decides to kill Nupur Sharma. He has been arrested, but the threat also did go out. Remember Umesh Kohle, the first one in fact in Maharashtra, who was murdered for supporting Nupur Sharma, but worse, was murdered by someone he had known closely for many years. It was not just about people who had supported. A young teenager boy, Saad Ansari, you remember, was assaulted and arrested just because he supported Nupur Sharma and questioned conservatives within his Muslim community. And then also remember the Doda cleric atop a mosque in Jammu and Kashmir had issued a mass threat of killing, beheading, apart from mocking Hindu gods. All of this in front of an angry mob. This cleric also decided to then say his words were misquoted, but the fact was it was all caught on video. So her fear is all real. I want you to take a look at this report coming up in the backdrop of what I just said about violence that was not just about killings and threats, but even today there are people still continuing to get threats of violence and attacks if they support Nupur Sharma. That's how bad it is. Take a look at this.
The Udaipur beheading which stunned India. Hindu tailor Kanhaiya Lal butchered in cold blood in Udaipur by 2 Islamist radicals for backing Nupur Sharma. Then came a brutal throat-slitting of Umesh Kohle in Amravati for sharing a pro-Nupur post on WhatsApp. And now weeks on, there is no stopping the beheading threats. Rajasthan seeing multiple open threats being issued by suspected Islamists against Hindu traders. In Bhilwara, a resident Narayan Gujar received a similar Sartan Se Juda threat over Facebook from a handle purportedly run by one Mehfooz Mansoori. The chilling threat called Kanhaiya Lal's beheading a mere beginning. In Udaipur, several traders from the Hindu community have got beheading threats on WhatsApp. The cyber cell lodged a case after the throat-slitting threat to Hiralal Dangi.
जो मैसेज आया है वो उसमें इस तरह की धमकी दी गई कि आपके साथ आपको भी बिहेड किया जाएगा, इस तरह से कोई धमकी दी गई है। लेकिन एक ही तरह की धमकी है और एक ही तरह की चीजें उसमें डाली गई है।
थोड़ी दहशत तो हम लोगों में है कि किसी ने मजाक की। ये सच्चा घटना जो हमारे अपने उदयपुर में हो चुका है कन्हैयालाल का, अब इसको लाइटली भी नहीं ले सकते हैं। तो जब तक पुलिस कार्रवाई कर रही है और पता लग जाता है कौन है क्या है, जब तक कुछ कह नहीं सकते। हाँ, हल्का सा भय तो है व्यापारियों में कि कौन क्या कब क्या करते हैं। ये थोड़ा सा भविष्य अब अंधकार में लग रहा है उदयपुर के व्यापारियों का।
There is anger among Hindu outfits over the repeated beheading threats. No one is taking it lightly since Kanhaiya had got similar threats which were ignored by the cops. Recently, a Mumbai girl got beheading threat for social media posts for criticizing Udaipur beheading of Kanhaiya.
कन्हैयालाल की मौत क्या हमें जगह पाएगी?
Repeated hate rants, some from renowned Sufi shrine like Ajmer Dargah, may be behind the surge of such calls.
मेरे को कसम है मेरे रब्बुल जलाल की, जिसने पैदा किया है मेरी उस माँ की, मैं उसे सरेआम।
Will de-radicalization drive and crack down on hate mongers manage to stop the surge in beheading calls? With Devankur Vadhavan in Jaipur, Bureau Report, India Today.
That's all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching India First. I'm wrapping up this bulletin.